Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another episode of the Market Messiah movement. It's a beautiful Tuesday here in Rio de Janeiro, and I'm here with Daphna Horowitz, and she is known as the CEO coach. She's not just a CEO coach. She's not just an executive coach. She is the CEO coach, and she's helping ambitious leaders uncover the patterns that are holding them back. But what I really love about Daphna is this idea that I see you been seeing you bring up is that intelligence alone doesn't, well, like literally from what I've read, intelligence alone doesn't predict outcomes. And I just really like that a lot because I value, of course, we all value intelligence, we value data. It's so important. But it seems like when it comes to being a leader, there are just so many variables that we can't predict, so many things that happen that we like. What are the tools? What's the intelligence that you can have to deal with some of these things that we're dealing with? So I really love that. I'm excited to dig into that. But first of all, Daphna, how the heck are you? How's it going?
I'm good, thank you. It's a beautiful sunny day, and we are speaking from two ends of the world. So I love that. I love connecting. I love speaking about topics that I enjoy. So yeah, looking forward to digging in.
Yeah. Well, speaking of digging in, I know things are a bit hairy where you're at right now. Maybe we could talk about that later. But speaking of things, because my first question, want to ask about, what does it mean that you're helping leaders that are at the edge, or that, this idea of like a leader being at the edge? Like, what does that mean exactly, like to you?
Yeah, so I love the question because when you talk about leaders being at the edge, it sounds like something maybe a bit scary, something unknown, and it is that. But I also want to say we have lots of edges that we face every single day. If we think about every change that comes up or every situation that comes up that requires us to be very intentional about it, or to bring something new into the situation, or to share something of ourselves that's a little bit different or a little bit kind of next level, we are going to find ourselves at an edge. And there's always the person that we are, the primary person that we know ourselves to be. And then something happens, situation, change, could be trauma, it could be a happy event. And it shifts us into a new way of being where we realize something new and different is required of us to make that next move. And that is our edge at that particular moment.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And definitely, yeah, as leaders, I've never run a big, company, but I'm leading a marketing agency here, and just being an entrepreneur, it's constantly, I feel like I'm constantly doing things that are out of my comfort zone. It's like as soon as I
Exactly.
get to some place, I get to some place or some level where something is comfortable, it's one, like there's a next thing that I have to learn, but also for
Yeah.
some reason my mind goes, I kind of want to change this now. Like, I think I
Yes.
can make this better. And it never ends. There's this constant, like,
Never
kind of
ends.
almost anxiety and going, but, I love it too. And I feel like, as leaders, entrepreneurs, that's something that we always do. But like, what are maybe some of the most common or difficult, edge places that you work with, like with leaders that you see,
Right.
and, how are you helping them to deal with that?
Okay, it's first of all, I want to say that what you're saying is absolutely correct because we hit an edge. And I like to look at it also from an identity point of view because there's things that we do that we know how to do, and that's kind of our call it our comfort zone, our sweet spot, our zone of excellence, or even our zone of genius, where we know what we're doing and we feel quite good about it, and we feel that we know where we are. And then something happens that shifts us, and then we know what we need to do at the next level. Sometimes we know and sometimes we don't. But there's also the matter of identity, which is who are we at this level? Meet an edge, and then who do we need to become in order to hit the next level? And when you look at leaders, it can happen across so many different things. When, a CEO of a company or a leader of a business unit or a team all of a sudden has changes in their team, there are changes to what's expected of them in terms of the company targets or growth or strategy or ways of doing things. Or they could also be the leaders going through a divorce. they've just had a new child, they need a new baby, they need to relocate. All of those are edges that we meet. And I think it's important to understand that edges continue throughout our life. This is what we're going to be meeting. We meet edges, we redefine ourselves, redefine how we do things, and then just move on to the next edge. There's not much time for us to sit in this comfort zone. And those edges also, they could be professional, they could be career, they could be business, they could be personal. We have so few things in life just stay constant. And we are constantly needing to deal with change, what it means when it brings us to the edge. And I love looking, as I said, at the identity level of who am I and who do I need to become? What needs to change in me so I can embrace the next level, move past the edge, and really get into this new definition of who I am and how I do things. And as you said, then of course you're going to meet your new edge. Something else is going to happen. So that's what edge is, in my opinion. It's that place that requires some kind of a shift of who you are and what you do and how you do it.
Okay. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Now I want to ask a kind of meta question, because, one thing that I like to do on this show is, not only talk about the things that we do and how we help people, but also, talk about our industries. Like in the marketing industry, there's a lot of people that are marketers out there that don't do a very good job, that really have, like, they overhype their offers and have crazy promises, and they help their clients do the same. And it's really just making the whole marketing industry a negative kind of idea, makes sales negative. And it helps, I work with a lot of executive and leadership coaches, and it's like almost every single person that I talk to has been burned by marketing and marketers in the past, spend thousands and thousands of dollars on strategies that don't work. So, I like to address that sometimes, but from your view, so there's the edge, and you have your unique way of describing, this edge that leaders are getting to and trying to move past, and you help leaders get past that. And I want to ask about that, but how about first, like, what are some ways that maybe other coaches are kind of missing the mark when it comes to helping leaders get past that edge or deal with that or improve?
So I think there's a lot of misperception and a lot of different approaches to coaching. And I want to really just understand that coaching is maybe different to what a lot of people think it is. And I think what a lot of people think it is and what a lot of coaches bring are maybe tools, tips, techniques. So it's, as you said about the marketers, here are your 5 things that you need to do in order to 10x your business. Same thing with coaches. Here is 5 things you need to do in order to grow your business, lead your team, face difficult conversations. And when you look at true coaching and coaching that goes deeper and coaching that looks at who you are, identity level questions, and the patterns that are running the show for you, you are doing a completely different thing, because you're saying, yes, there are tips and techniques and tools to do certain things as a leader. At the same time, you need to know how it connects to who you are and what your typical patterns are and what your typical traps are, so that with that level of self-awareness, you build a strategy that is authentically yours. You're not following some formula, and you're actually getting the results you need through understanding your impact on others. And that's where real coaching takes you to a deeper level of reflection of, what am I doing here? What are the patterns that keep repeating? What problems am I trying to solve? And am I really solving the real problem rather than the presenting problem or what the symptoms are coming up? So coaching that I do and I believe in is taking an honest, deep look at yourself, how you're operating, how you're impacting your environment, and how you're getting results. Because if you focus on results at results level, then yes, definitely there are things you can do, but it's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to feel good. It's not going to feel authentic. And it probably won't last as long as you really want it to last. So I would go away from the kind of tips and tools and models, kind of, that's more education and training for me and consulting. Then you have your advice giving. So a lot of people think coaching is giving advice. I'll go to the coach so that they can tell me what to do. That's also not what coaching is. That's more consulting or mentoring, which also has a place. But coaching is the place that really allows you to dig deeper in your own mind, ways of thinking, ways of doing things, so that you can unravel the patterns and say, oh, okay, if I just understand this about myself and understand the impact that this behavior has, then I can get completely different results and really bring people along the journey with me.
Yeah, I love that, Daphne. That makes so much sense. It really does. And
Yeah.
hey, I want to thank Simon for the comment here too. Connection to your patterns gives you the edge. Absolutely.
I love
Yeah.
that. Thank you, Simon.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Exactly. That's exactly
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Simon's actually a client of ours, and we're working on a workshop. He's got a workshop coming up in a couple weeks. So
Awesome.
thanks,
Good luck
Simon.
with the
Yeah.
workshop, Simon. I hope it goes well.
And speaking of that, I want to relate this to marketing for a second here before asking this next question,
Mm.
because it's really like, yeah, connecting to what works at the deeper level, at the level that's more aligned. So there's this idea, when it comes to your funnel, say to a workshop funnel where you want to invite lots of people to a workshop and so they can get to know you and they can learn your methodology and all of that and make sales, of course. So a lot of tactics these days, they focus on conversions. They focus on how can I get lower costs per lead? How can I get more people converting and coming into my funnel? And that's great because, yeah, I've got a lot of people showing up. And if I have more people showing up, that means I'm going to make more sales. But a funnel that converts isn't necessarily the same as a funnel that's profitable, because there's so many in between things that you want to think about to have a really profitable funnel. Like, you want to think about, okay, sure, some people are showing up, but what does that sequence of communication look like leading up to the workshop? Are you telling stories? Are you addressing objections? Are they getting to know you more and more as they lead up to that workshop? Post workshop, how are you communicating with them then? Are you making it feel like this is the perfect offer for them? Because, say, when they signed up for that workshop, there was a question at the beginning where it said, hey, which one of these, what are you really trying to get out of this workshop? What do you want to learn the most? What's most important to you? Did they answer a question like that, so that when you have your post workshop communication emails, all of those are perfectly tailored to them, so they really feel like you have a perfect solution to them? So it's like there's all of these things that go into having a profitable funnel or strategy, besides just focusing on the conversions of how can I make these little things happen. So, Daphne, I'm curious. So for you, when you're working with leaders, like, what do you do that makes their leadership profitable? That's not just converting on the front end with little tactics, but maybe what does that beginning alignment look like? How do you set them up for success in a way that they're not just chasing new things all the time, and they really have that more solid foundation from the beginning?
I think for me, the key thing is building the relationship and understanding that when you're working with a person, you're working with a human being. So it isn't about tips and tools and tactics. It isn't about throwing modeled information at them and hoping it will all sort out. It isn't about entertaining them and, making them feel good so that, then they're happier. It really is about connecting on a deep level and showing them that you're with them for the ride, for this whole journey that's going to have its ups and downs, and it's going to be challenging. It's going to get them thinking differently and out of their comfort zone, and really connecting with them at a level that they feel heard and seen and safe to be who they are, without all the masks that they carry in their everyday life. I think as a coach, if you can show a leader that you are there for them, that you're not there to be impressed by them or by their work, you're not there to let's say, pander to their ego and give their ego a boost for the day. You are there as a partner in this relationship that helps them get what they want. And whether it's business results or a happier family life or a healthier balance in everything that they're doing, then they can feel they've got a partner, a thinking partner that they can trust. And that's why I say, for me, it's not about the tips and the tools and the tactics. And I'm not saying that I don't bring them. I bring them. I bring information. I bring knowledge. I bring models, because a lot of them are very helpful. But deeper than that, it's about showing the connection, that you really get them and that they are free to be who they need to be in the room with you, and to think about whatever it is that they need to think about in the room with you.
Mm. Yeah, you know, one thing that that I saw you say is that you know, there are things that leaders feel, but they rarely say. You know, what are some of those things you think that leaders are like feeling that they rarely say, that they would hear and be like, yeah, that's me, that you've experienced?
Yeah. So that's interesting, because I think it kind of encompasses both sides of the spectrum. So there are definitely things that I hear from leaders where they say get so frustrated with their team, they just don't think they're up to standard, they're not owning the work, they're not thinking enough, they're blaming people around them. So I think they feel this frustration, and they won't always name it. You know, sometimes they want to say, why am I surrounded by difficult people? Why am I surrounded by people who are not thinking? Why am I surrounded by people who are stupid, even? You know, those are thoughts that are going to run in their head, and they're not going to go and say that to their team, to their people. So who are they going to say it to? It's important that they're able to express that to their coach, and not because their people are stupid, incompetent, blaming, whatever it is. It is because we then, you know, I like to say that that is the symptom. If you see your team not performing at the level that you want, that's the symptom of the system that you created as a leader. So let's look
Mm,
at what is happening in the system, so that we can see how we want to change it, and who is leading the system. It's you. So what are you doing that is generating this feeling of frustration for you? And what do you need to change? Whether it's in your attitude to your people, the way you do things at work, what you acknowledge and don't acknowledge, how you create a people strategy, or how you get people more motivated, it all starts with you. So
mm,
it could be that, you know, like deep frustration with incompetence, speed of execution also. And then it could be the things that they won't voice out loud around their own confidence. Can I really do it? I feel like I have imposter syndrome. I now need to present to the board. I know my ideas are good, but what if they shoot it down? And what if I don't really know what I'm doing? This is something visionary and revolutionary and innovative, and it's the first time I'm going to present something like that. And that is actually also a very vulnerable moment for leaders. So what if I look stupid? What if I look incompetent? You know,
mm,
and that the imposter syndrome that they often won't and can't voice to the people around them. So, you know, you
mm,
get both sides of the spectrum then, and also so many more things, you know, when they're having a difficult time, when they need to make a decision that is crucial for the business, but they don't have all the information. That is a common problem. You cannot ever have all the information you need in order to make a good decision. And you may make a mistake, and that is super scary. Who are they going to share that with? They need to hire a very senior level leader in the organization who they need to be able to trust and delegate authority to. How do they make that decision? How do they know that the person that they're interviewing is going to be the right person? All of those things are things that make a leader very vulnerable in their day-to-day running of the business, and there's not many people that they can talk to about it.
mm. And to Judy's point here, yeah, real coaching digs deeper, and it's like just something that you can't do on your own. Got 2 points. That was all amazing, Daphne. That was really, really good stuff, and it made me think of two main things here. Like, one, this idea of getting comfortable doing things that are uncomfortable. So, you know, working with the clients that I do, doing marketing and sales, it's a very uncomfortable thing, because if you're not used to doing sales, not used to doing marketing, you know, just describing what you do, like articulating what you do and sharing that message with the world, sharing that message with your audience on LinkedIn. It's like, you're going to have people that are going to see it. Your friends and family are going to see what you're doing. They're going to see that you're trying to sell something. They're going to see that you're going to ask them to come on to a workshop. You're going to ask them to to come up to, you're going to call them to action to do something. And it's a very scary thing. And I think it's got to be the biggest reason why most people, when they do marketing and sales, they're very soft and generic. People like to talk in very broad terms. And, I've probably reviewed at least 400 sales pages of coaches' sales pages. And it's like 25%, everyone's saying the same thing, like, oh, more clarity, more confidence. Clarity and confidence is the biggest thing, especially since ChatGPT has come around. But so it's a very difficult, uncomfortable thing to do something new when it comes to sales and marketing. You're not used to having that like more explicit, not explicit language, but more kind of articulate language. But that's why when you work with us, we help coach you through that. We have to help people. Like, half of our job is marketing. The other half is helping our clients feel comfortable, like finally, saying what they really mean, what their business really means to them. And it seems like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. But it's uncomfortable. You're vulnerable because maybe you're saying something that's not exactly, when you're selling something, you have to make a connection. And that means that you can't connect with everybody. And it's difficult sometimes to realize that if you want to really speak to someone, you can't speak to everyone. So you have to be a bit more niched. You have to be a bit more articulate. You have to polarize some people. But that's kind of what that takes. And then
I love that, Ryan. If I can jump in there, because I think for leaders, it might be a little bit different because, and I get this often with clients as well, is you might not get on naturally with everyone, but you do need to, as a leader, know how to connect with everybody on your team and actually have people on your team that you might not naturally connect to because they will bring diversity that you need on your team. So it's interesting what you're saying about the polarity, because as a leader within your team, I'm not sure that you want to do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, so that would make sense. So if you have people on your team, that's not the time to be polarizing and not connect with people.
Exactly.
That must be why, why hiring is so important. And it is so important, right? Having the right people on the team. But also, yeah, to have the right people that come onto your team in the first place, you want a certain kind of person that's gonna vibe. It's gonna vibe with you. That's gonna vibe with your mission. That's gonna be aligned with your values. And kind of going on that, there's the idea of the expert's curse. When you're thinking as a leader, oh, why can't isn't this person doing things the right way? Why can't they just follow directions? That's not how I would do it. They're dumb. What's going on? I think, what I've learned in training people to help us with the agency, it's like, I've learned so much the importance of systems. If I can't just expect somebody to do things exactly like I would do them. Of course not. Like, how can I expect them to do things perfectly, speak in my voice? I didn't even train them how to do that. I don't have a system. I didn't give them a system to do that, any kind of SOP to do that. Even the same is true with artificial intelligence. People are using AI and they're expecting it to just know exactly what to do and have the perfect process and speak in their voice. So people say, oh, Claude sucks. AI sucks. It's never going to be as good as this. It can't do that. It can't do that. Well, it's like a person. It's like a little baby. It's a very, very super intelligent kind of baby, but you have to train it. You have to put in your voice. You have to add reference documents and context and all those things. So, yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's a really important point that you bring about AI. And, I'm connecting it to what you said earlier about, being the expert isn't enough in order to be a good leader and in order to get the results that you want from your business. Because I also think that knowledge in this world is now so easily accessible, so that you need to think, what more am I contributing here that goes beyond knowledge? Because knowledge is so easy to obtain at this moment in time with AI. And I think there's a layer, it's calling us humans to go up a layer and say, well, what more can I do besides giving over information? Because if we look at AI, it's there to give us information, to give us answers, to give us solutions, to even create clarity, to even help us think through some stuff. It can do that for us. But then we go, okay, then what are we being called to give to this will to the situation, to my business as a human being that goes beyond what AI can give at this moment. I don't know what's going to happen in future, but I think that's such a good question for a leader, because we see this anyway. Even before AI, leaders were always promoted. People are always promoted in an organization based on how well they're doing their work. But they get to a level where their performance is a given, their expert knowledge is a given, and they're going to get promoted based on how they lead themselves and how they lead people and how they think into the future and how they work with a system, which is the organization, in order to get the results that they want. And that's where higher level thinking and being needs to be happening beyond your doing. So it's the being beyond doing that now needs development. And this is really where coaching comes in. And this is where coaching beyond AI can come in, because I think AI can be great as an initial level coach. And I think maybe, I don't know, maybe you'd say the same about initial level marketing. But there is a layer beyond that you want to start playing with and saying, okay, how do I do this beyond what AI can do, so that I can bring my own flavor, my own unique style, my own, humanness into it that will really take me to the next level.
Yeah, yeah, and that's, I'm very grateful to have known all the fundamentals of my work and business and like marketing and sales and copywriting kind of before this era of AI, because yes, it's great to brainstorm and it's great for automating processes, and it's easy. I think a lot of people just use it because it's easy. And especially when it comes to marketing and content, it's so easy to just like whip up some things and post it to the internet. Or when it's like, hey, it's much easier rather than deal with a person, you can replacing them with AI or just trying to figure out the processes and systems. But the more I've learned about how to create these kinds of automated processes, the more that I realize, sometimes it's just the amount of work that I'm doing to make the automation happen and the automation itself even running. It's like a human could do this better and cheaper, and I'd actually have like a person that knows all this context and I could train to do all these other things as well. So it's like, it's a lot of fun to create these automations and processes and have AI and be able to build and create things. It's like addicting. I'm like making apps for myself. I'm making apps to help our clients and like building like a client portal, like all these amazing things. But at the same time, it's like, there's other ways that I could do this probably faster and cheaper. I would love to, I could just hire someone who's like really great and really smart and could do all of these things instead. And that could be better. So, I mean, we're in this wild west, this time where, AI is so popular, it's growing, it's getting faster and faster and faster. And it's got its place, of course. But we'll see how this turns out. Daphna, so can you just, want to just like on an ending note, and unfortunately we got to cut our episode a little bit short here, but I'm sure we can do another one in the future. But can you talk, we got to this point of, there gets to this point as a leader where they have the skills, like that's a given. But now they're at this place where they have to go beyond that. And I know that that's really like the sweet spot of yours. You're helping leaders get beyond just that kind of standard level, like where from now those things aren't going to work anymore. What's your process like to help leaders get beyond the edge and get to that next level?
Yeah. So I think that for me, I talk about doing the work beneath the work, which is often at symptom level. You might say, my team's not taking enough ownership. I'm not seeing them work hard enough or fast enough or well enough. And how can I, often the question, how can I get them to do better? But when you're asking, how can I get them to do better? You first have to look at yourself and say, okay, what's going on here? What are the patterns that I'm running on that are actually running the show? And how do I take a different look at it and look at me being the leader, impacting my people and my environment? And how do I change myself so that all of that changes and then the results change as well? So I do talk about a dual journey, because I really believe in the practical nature of things. Sometimes you just need to change the way that you do things, and the more kind of identity level, mindset shift level of self-awareness and how am I running my own show here. And it really is important to get curious about both. And I think sometimes leaders feel comfortable to say, how can I do things different? Tell me how to do this better. But I say we will look at that together. We're looking who is the person that I want to be? Who is the leader that I want to be? And that's the dual journey. There's the doing. What do I need to do in order to improve the results or see the change that I want to change or to grow my business or scale or whatever it is? Great. And it's the being, which runs underneath the doing. So it's like two graphs running parallel, because the being is what filters through into the doing, into how you go about doing what you do. And I do have a sentence that I love to say, and that is that leadership is not only about what you do, it's where you're operating from when you do it. So we look at what you're doing and we look at, call it the operating system of how you're doing it, which is your internal makeup. And that is the journey of coaching that I take my clients or go on with my clients, because we need to be working on both at the same time.
Nice. Yeah. The dual journey. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. That sounds very good, Daphna. Yeah. I'm sure your clients are getting, lots of great results. And, I love how you're posting lots of content about your journey. And I know you're speaking on lots of other podcasts and you have your own show as well. So yeah, it's been really great chatting here, Daphna. Man, I think we got a lot. I think we packed a lot of value in there. I think, for 30 minutes here, I think we got a lot of good stuff in here.
Yeah.
So it's good.
And we can always dig deeper. So there's always more to talk about.
Let's do it. Okay. Yeah. So I'll put, I'll put your link to your profile. What's the best way to get in contact with you for anyone listening?
LinkedIn, website. You can check a YouTube channel. I've got a podcast. So anyway, I'm very easy to find on the internet. If you just type in my name, it will come up. And feel free to reach out.
You're the CEO coach. Yes. You're the one to go to. All right, Daphna. Sounds good. Okay. So thanks a lot. And for all y'all out there, talk to you again soon. Yeah.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah. Thank you.